And now to show our visitor a few motion picture films of the living testimonials with which the hospital records abound. The patients who limped in or were carried in on litters and walk out under their own power. This man's back was broken during the fighting on Iwo Jima in 1945. He was a helpless bed patient for years before coming to Spears. In just a few months, he was restored to normal health and normal life. This attractive young lady limped into the hospital, a victim of multiple sclerosis. Her medical doctors told her there was no cure. She must just learn to live with it. But Spears' doctors helped her to live without it, and she too returned home in good health and has since married. Youngster was one of the pitiful polio cripples who came to Spears after other forms of therapy had failed to help her. She was able to discard her crutches within several weeks and not only learn to walk again, but to dance as well, much to the delight of her family. And even to turn a few somersaults to astonish her doctors. Another crippling disease known as Perthes, pronounced Partes, was the demoralizing ailment that brought this little fellow to Spears. His hip joints seriously damaged, his case pronounced hopeless. But Spears' doctors did not so regard it, and that their efforts to aid this child were rewarded are proven by the subsequent pictures of a lively, active, healthy, real boy. At last reports, he was a normal teenager, above the average physically and mentally, a champion roller skater. Rheumatoid arthritis is a cruel crippler that attacks young and old. Walking, even with a cane, was a painful effort for this young woman when she came to Spears. Her hands, too, were deformed with the disease. But time and treatment remedied all that. She walked without the slightest limp before leaving the hospital and had completely recovered the use of her hands. Pott's disease, tuberculosis of the spine, had crippled this pretty little girl who arrived at Spears weighted down with heavy body braces, with the sad prognosis from her medical doctors, incurable. Spears' doctors refused to accept this cruel verdict. It was a long, slow process, but the victory at the end of many months was well worthwhile when they watched the running, jumping youngster. She's now 15 years old and a beautiful specimen of young girlhood, takes part in all school sports, and is especially fond of swimming, she writes.